A century ago, you knew your work was done because you could physically see it. You built the product, the factory whistle blew, and you went home. Today, most work happened on screens and in our heads. The tasks are invisible and endless. There is no whistle. That leaves your brain to constantly make the decision of when enough is enough. To understand how we manage this lack of boundaries, we need to look at 4 areas: the brain's energy tax, the illusion of busyness, the stress permission slip, and the oscillation rule. Without that external signal to stop, the decision to rest becomes a persistent mental task, one that adds to the weight of the work itself. This chart isolates the physical size of the human brain, which accounts for about 2% of an adult's body weight, but it has a disproportionate demand for fuel. When awake and focused, it consumes 25% of your body's oxygen and energy. Sitting at a desk might look passive, but active focus, whether planning a project or processing communication, sustains that high level of energy consumption. Mental effort is a high-burn biological activity. It draws from your physical energy reserves just as surely as physical labor does. This brings us to the illusion of busyness. Because computer work is largely invisible and lacks a clear endpoint, it is difficult for organizations to measure actual productivity. Without concrete metrics, we often replace deep, cognitively expensive focus with shallow, constant motion to prove we are contributing. This shift toward using activity as a substitute for results has a formal definition. It's called pseudo-productivity, the use of visible activity as the primary means of approximating actual productive effort. It shows up in leaving digital statuses active, answering late-night emails, or joining meetings you don't need to attend, simply to look engaged. Because the work is endless, we spend our limited biological energy performing the role of a busy worker just to prove our value. This leads to the stress permission slip. If work never stops and we are pressured to look busy, how do we ever decide to reject a task? Our default strategy is to wait until the brain registers high levels of physical and emotional distress. Declining a request often causes guilt, but feeling deeply overwhelmed provides the internal justification to finally say no. The flaw in this strategy is that you don't set a boundary until the alarm is already ringing. You only stop working once you have already reached the point of overload. We are using our own acute distress as a signal to rest, which ensures that we remain in a state of exhaustion. This is why we need the oscillation rule. We have to replace the stress alarm with a proactive system of energy management. Many of us live on a tense flat line of continuous energy expenditure. The solution is to transform that line into a rhythmic pulse, alternating between periods of intense focus and periods of complete mental disengagement. Stepping away allows the brain to drop into a background processing mode, working through problems without the same active energy cost. This network does critical work. Even when we stop trying to think about problems, our brains continue to plug away, generating ideas. Remember, your brain has a high energy tax. Pseudo-productivity drains that resource. Don't wait for a stress permission slip to stop. You must manage your energy in deliberate, rhythmic waves. Only then will your brain have the capacity to actually process the world.